Welcome to Darkly Lit, where we nibble our way through the delectably horrific works of literature. I am your host, Kayla Berry, and my two hosts, we have David King.
You know, I almost feel like the murder weapon is right under our noses.
And...
Oh, yeah, man, what? Yeah, this is delicious.
And Jesse Reyes.
Hello.
Hello.
I just made some disgusting noises. I'm sorry.
You're fine. You're fine. How you enjoying?
This is the only time that we can eat on mic and be like, this is good.
This is Darkly Lit ASMR. We are gonna eat leg of lamb right into the microphone.
So we are returning to an author, one of my favorites, Roald Dahl. But instead of his children's work, we're going to read some of his adult fiction. Giggity. No, just kidding.
We're not reading Switch Bitch.
No, you're not.
Dang it.
That's not a horror. No.
Yeah, it is if you read one of the later Uncle Albert. Was it Uncle Albert?
Are you talking about the one where
one where he gets leprosy, or it's implied he gets leprosy?
That's not horror though.
It's horrific to me because of how he potentially got it.
That could be considered a horror comedy technically.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, so is technically this story too. So Roald Dahl wrote this lovely story called Lamb to the Slaughter. By the way, amazing title. Like, I really love this title so much. It is way too dark and devious for such a story, I'm not gonna lie.
It's pretty fitting, honestly. Very clever use of wordplay considering what happens in the story.
So this
was a suggestion,
yes,
wasn't it?
Beth Morton suggested the story, so kudos to Beth. Plus,
thank you, Beth.
Beth will be Beth gave us a lot of the questions to answer at the end of this, so
cool.
Thank you.
So this episode was brought to you by Beth.
Go follow her at Nadiri. That's Knadire. Go commission her. She draws amazing art. I totally recommend.
Check out some of her animation work on Trailer Park Boys.
Yes.
The animated version of Trailer Park Boys.
We're so proud of our Beth.
Yeah. Beth Morton, the better way to art.
It is true, though.
Okay, I probably should tell the story.
Tell us what this story is about, Kayla.
So,
gosh.
This story is from, well, I mean, it's actually omniscient for the most part, but it's from the point of view of a housewife who is 6 months pregnant, and her name is Mary Maloney. Her husband, who is a police officer, Patrick Maloney, comes one day and tells her something. It's never written what exactly it is, but it's something that does shake her to her core, enough to where she's like, she doesn't even think, she's just like, I'm gonna go get some dinner, and then sees in her fridge that they have a frozen leg of lamb. It's a
leg.
Frozen leg of lamb, and without a second thought, she hits her husband over the head with it, and it kills him instantly. Unsure what to do, actually, that's not true. She knows exactly what to do. So she puts the lamb into the oven, she leaves, she goes to the grocery store, asks for potatoes and peas, because she says, I'm cooking for my husband. Comes home, screams because she sees her husband on the floor, again, acting like it did not happen, calls the police, and they all come to check on him, and they're like, we're sorry, he is dead. And she is pretty good actress throughout all of this.
A lot of it isn't acting, according to the story, but we'll get into that.
Yeah, so at the point they're still looking, or the police are still looking, and she's like, you guys have been such a big help, and I have a lamb cooking in the oven. It'd be a shame for it to go to waste. Please, have it. And the police officers eat the lamb, and as David commented, one of them says, it's probably right under our noses, to which she giggles. It's a simple story. The story actually was written not written, but it was published in 1953, so that tells you how old this story is.
It's a very, very short story. It's just shy of 4,000 words.
Yeah.
And
I love this story so I
remember you told me about this story ages ago before I ever read it.
Oh yeah, because I'm not gonna lie, I've mentioned this earlier. I grew up with Roald Dahl's short stories, and I remember when I was a teenager, I stumbled across this story, and I'm just like, what? This and it shocked me. I was surprised, one, that it's Roald Dahl. Now, as an adult, I realize, I can totally see how, like, it is Roald Dahl. Like, he has a theme going with, like, dark stuff. Mm-hmm. But not only that, it's like, this is just a story about a woman who kills her husband and gets away with it. That's it. That's all there is. And I'm like, oh my god, that's amazing. And then I was, later in life, I found actually his collection of short stories, and I started reading them, and I loved them. Like, I love his short stories. That is such a good book. Like, it's just short stories, and it's like, oh, man. Oh, I love, like, his horror adult fiction is great, but this was the story that, like, introduced me to it, followed by The Landlady.
The Landlady.
Which is also another good one. But
yeah.
We're talking about Lamb to the Slaughter. What did you guys think?
So I read it last night. I was like, oh shit, I forgot to read the thing. How long is it? Not that long. I'm gonna read this. And I was reading it in bed, and I was enjoying it so much I didn't realize that, like, Lady had laid down and curled up beside me, which she never does.
Aww.
But I was like halfway through, and I was like, oh, there's a cat here, and I'm petting cat, and it's, oh my gosh, she's like curled up right next to me. So I was like, you want me to read you a story? And so I finished reading it out loud to her.
Aww. This is endearing.
So that was my reading experience. So yeah, I liked it. It was cute. I don't think she got away. Okay, yeah, that's how I described this murder.
It's cute.
If you listen to The Witching Hour, that shouldn't surprise you that I would call it.
No, that's true.
This is...
this is, but I like that how you describe it. It's cute. That's a great description.
I don't think Mary got away with this. 2, I think she had planned it for a long time, and I will get into those reasons when we start discussing.
Really?
Oh,
yeah. That's interesting. I mean, I guess there's a lot to analyze. I read this story 15 minutes ago.
Good job.
I thought I was procrastinating. I feel better now.
Yeah, don't worry. You're like, you think you're procrastinated. No, I'd known about it. It's a quick read. I perused it and I was like, this is very good. I get everything I need just from this bit. It's, I have some different opinions about it, but, I mean, I still really enjoyed it. I think one thing I can agree with both of you on is that it's a very good story, which is nice. It's a nice refresher.
Now, this one is actually an easier one to like analyze little by, I guess. Mm-hmm. So, if you'd like to start, we could start with like Mary Maloney. What do we think of her? Like, how would we describe her character? And
to me, she comes up at the very beginning as a very typical housewife. She's like, I can't wait for my husband to get home. I love him so much. He's just everything about his presence makes me feel comfortable. Here I am glowing because I'm 6 months pregnant, and the way she's described is in very soft, feminine kind of tones. Everything is very gentle and quiet with her, which makes it all the more radical when she murders a man with a hunk of lamb.
See, for me, that was like, this girl is too happy. Everything looks too perfect. Like, there's some shit that's like being covered up. For me, that's immediately what I felt with her. Like, oh, I'm just basking in the glow of my husband. I'm like, no, you're not. That's a lie. You're lying to yourself.
You think so?
Yeah. But you know what? Maybe I've just been in a really dark place for a while since our last recording.
Ooh.
Or since forever. But that's how that is entirely how it came across to me. I was like, you know what? This feels gross. I don't think you're really this happy.
That's a completely viable way to interpret it too, honestly.
You know what
you're thinking, so you in your mind this is premeditated.
Yeah. I'm not saying she knew she was like, she had been wanting to do this all along, but I feel like subconsciously, that leg of lamb might have been in the freezer for a very long time.
It could be that thing where there was a low key level of dissatisfaction, but she put on a different face, and then it's like when she learns what happened, she's like, well, that clinches it. I mean, that clinches it anyway, but the fact that she goes so quickly from this to just the disbelief of it all to the murder, I could see that. I could see it more being like, what if she like suspected that he's dishonest but didn't want to believe it.
Yeah, no, people will be in denial about those sort of things for the longest possible time until it's right there in your face and there's nothing you can do to deny it anymore. Kayla was describing like, oh, we don't really hear what her husband tells her, but we do hear that it's going to just completely uproot her life, because he's like, I'll make sure that you're you're well, you get money and you're taken care of, but let's not say anything to anyone.
I think it's
Yeah.
strongly hinted at that he's leaving her.
Yeah.
He probably has a mistress.
Not just leaving her, but like kicking her out.
Yeah.
Here's what I thought throughout this. It sounds more like, I don't want to say brainwashed, but it kind of feels that way. I don't think she's brainwashed, but I feel like she is legitimately raised to be one certain way, and that's a housewife. Like, you could even in the way she's like, oh, I'll get that for you. He's like, sit down, and she's like, oh, but I'll cook for you. No, stop it, just. And all she can think to do is, how can I serve my husband? Like, it feels like she was, like, I don't want to say brainwashed, because that's not exactly
No, it's more like
story.
she wants to please him. And that's what she's...
But, like, that's...
But it's automatic. It doesn't feel like it's something she's doing out of, like, care. It just feels like something that's automatic, right?
Yeah, this is like something she's like, no, I have to do this. All I can think is to please him. Like, this woman, although, you know what it might be? This could be a woman who's just head over heels in love with her husband. You know what this sounds like? Like...
That was the impression I got, personally.
Like, one of those girls who are so obsessed with a person, even if they don't know him well enough, that they'll do anything for them.
Mm.
And I think when he's, like, saying, I will leave you, that made her snap. This is what it sounds like. This is, like, legitimately the obsessed woman. That's like, I do anything for you. I die for you. And that actually is hinted at when she's like, she knows, she like, her husband's a police officer, so it's like, she knows the consequences, and she says it even suits her, but then she thought about her baby. And she's like, what would happen? Would they wait the 10 months before they kill him? I'm like, whoa, she thinks she's gonna die.
Like, she's like, well, I deserve this.
No, not that she deserves this.
Or no,
she
just
wants
knows.
it. Like,
She wants to be.
Like,
she wants to be.
Like, scroll down.
No, I saw the part you're talking about. I'm just like, I'm confused about what you're saying.
I'll read it.
I know where it is. Oh, here we go. She began thinking very fast. As the wife of a detective, she knew quite well what the penalty would be. That was fine. It made no difference to her. In fact, it would be a relief.
Okay, so she know that. Okay, what are the consequences? One would be she would be in jail. And that's what we would think, like, okay.
The other, she'd be executed.
If
capital punishment is a thing.
But here's the thing. She says, on the other hand, what about the child? What were the laws about murders with unborn children? Did they kill then both mother and child? She thinks she's gonna die.
Right.
So, and not only that, she says it would be a relief. So she's like...
Well, she said it would be a relief, and then she realized, oh, wait, but I'm pregnant.
No, but here's the thing. Yes, it would be a relief, but that means she would feel relieved to die.
She was ready to be punished, by execution for her crime until she realized, oh, but what about my child? I don't want her
right. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
My child isn't. Okay, all right.
So, and that's why I think this woman legitimately was obsessed with this man. Like, the whole time she's like thinking, how could I please him? I need to do this. I'll cook for him. And he's like, please don't cook for me. I don't want to. And she snapped. And then, again, this is one of those obsessed women who would legitimately die for a person.
Wow.
Like, that's what I think.
Her tune changes certainly by the end when she's giggling about the fact that they ate the murder weapon.
I think she's fucking nuts.
Okay, I don't think she was obsessed with her husband.
Okay.
Because if she was obsessed with her husband, if she's like, I want to do anything for my husband, clearly her husband wants him out of her life. So why wouldn't she just kill herself instead of murdering him?
Because there's a level of I would do anything for this person apart from leave them or have them leave me.
Like,
I don't buy it. I don't buy it. See, here's where I'm coming from, and here's like where I no longer trust relationships probably shows. I think because if she loved him and was so obsessed with taking care of him, why was he seeing another woman or another man? Who knows? Anyway, why was he not being faithful? Don't answer that. I don't want your answer. My thought is that the relationship was already headed south. Mm-hmm. And so she became so fixated on, I have to save my marriage, I have to please my husband, that she becomes so automatic and is like just doing everything that like she can to please her husband, doting on him. And this becomes like, just makes it worse because like, that's just gonna fucking make it worse. And the reason I believe that is because like I have an aunt right right now who has a terrible marriage, and she's struggling to have kids, so she's asking the rest of the family for money for this like procedure to have kids, and we're like, that's not going to save your marriage. Having children is not going to save your marriage. No. So that's why I think she's pregnant, because she's like, oh, if I'm pregnant, it's going to save my marriage. So that's why she's in this like delusional basking in her husband's glow of like, everything's fine. I'm doing everything to please my husband. And then when it's like, nope, it's not fine. Things have gotten worse. That's why she snaps and kills him.
Right.
But I feel...
I'm leaning more toward the just general naivete. Like there's just a sort of a general naivete, so it really does completely blindside her when she's being told that he's presumably having an affair, or has been having an affair for some time. Presumably. I mean, that's one thing, is that part is left ambiguous. Part of me wonders, I actually joked with Kayla, like, what if he's not just having an affair, but he has a gay lover? This is in the 50s. That would have been, like, absolutely scandalous, you know?
I wasn't going to bring this up, but why not? So this was actually adapted into a episode of Alfred Hitchcock's.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And it actually does have the man saying why he's leaving her. And it is, he has a mistress, and he's leaving his wife for her.
Well, let's take a look at that context, though. But look at him in particular. Do you know how terse he is with? We see how terse he is with her, how short he is with her, and how there's sort of a way he does. You know, this could be a person where, because she dotes on him so much, he's jaded with the whole thing. That could be part of it too. Why he has a mistress. He doesn't want a woman who dotes on him constantly and sees to all his needs. Who's constantly like, oh, let me take care of this. He probably feels clung to. That could be a reason he's so short with her and has been having the affair and just wants to get out of that marriage.
It could be like she disagrees with everything he says and does every.
Right. He doesn't, he doesn't feel any excitement in that. I mean, like I said, people get fed up with relationships sometimes when one half of it seems like they're being too clingy or something like that. Like, I feel like the way that she's just answering everything he does would be something that I would think to myself, if they didn't have, because, people didn't communicate very well. Couples didn't communicate very well back then. So, and as he certainly did it, because he did it bad, and he's just ready to leave her and just be like, well, it's over, bye. So don't get me wrong, I think he's an asshole too. But I just wonder, there's unsaid context there that's fun to kind of debate, And I think that on that angle, I think I kind of agree with you, Sade. I think the marriage has been on the rocks for a while, but I think maybe he's the only one who's realized it. Because I think that he is bored. He's or fed up with the way she acts, and he's just been seeking excitement somewhere else, and now he's got this mistress who he feels more connected to, and he's like, okay, well, I'm just gonna leave you now. The fact that he would leave her, though, while she's pregnant, too, is fucking disgusting.
I mean, it happens.
It does happen.
That's what my father did.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So you can cut that out if you want. Oops.
No, I mean, if it's not an issue for you,
it's not an issue. No worries.
Okay.
So meanwhile, I think my dad should have left when my mom was pregnant.
Welcome to Darkly Lit, where we all discuss our daddy issues.
Am I the only one here that could say I think my dad is cool, and I'm glad that they stuck together as long as they did? Well,
David, I guess you should say goodbye to this show.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna go into another room, and I'll let you two work out your dad issues.
Welcome to Daddy Issues.
Welcome to Dads Are Not Lit.
Oh my god.
So, I mean, the motive is kind of the most interesting thing about the story, in my opinion, but I also the process itself is pretty cool. And so think about this. I actually really love the moment where she just, without thinking, she just cracks him on the head with it, and he like sways for a couple seconds and then falls to the floor.
I like he like holds. It says he held there for like 4 or 5 seconds and then crashed.
Yeah, like, would that happen if someone hit you hard enough to cave your skull in? Because they describe him as having his skull caved in later.
Well, if it helps, by the way, so Roald Dahl got this idea from an author friend of his, and that author is Ian Fleming.
Oh.
For those who don't know, Ian Fleming wrote, he wrote the books that inspired James Bond. He wrote the James Bond novels, but he also wrote Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
That's especially noteworthy.
Yes, he wrote chitty chitty bang bang.
Bang, bang, chitty, chitty, bang, bang.
Like that, this is, well, apparently the book is darker, but like...
It's got the fucking child catcher in it. I mean, come on, it's already pretty dark.
Okay, anyway.
Bang, bang, chitty, chitty, bang, bang, goes the gun. Anyway.
But, like, she's also, here's another thing we also know about her. She's really good at hiding her feelings, or pushing, it is shown, like, she can actually push down her feelings really well. Because, like, that's how she's able to get away with, acting like she didn't kill her husband.
Yep.
And she even acts it out. Like, she comes home after going grocery shopping and she screams. Like, that's not necessary. There's no one around, but she chooses to do it, too.
Well, she has to kind of delude herself, too. That's why, again, I think that she's, like, mourning... In a way, she's kind of mourning what was. Like, this idea of her husband that it wasn't real, you know? And that now that part's dead, and now she laments that... She really is genuinely lamenting that it all had to happen like this. But she doesn't regret... I don't think she regrets killing him. I think she regrets that he's dead, you know? She's blocking out the part where it's like, oh, and he did a thing, you know? Because the thing itself is not... That's what's interesting. The act of what he did itself is not as important as the fact that he betrayed her in some way. Mm-hmm. And was going to leave her.
I think part of the anguish is, like... Because, like, he was about to, like, completely, like, just ruin her life and, like, uprooting everything.
Yeah.
This act that she's committed... doesn't stop that. Like, it if anything has a worse effect.
Yes.
So I think there's some anguish in there, and like
that's why I think she snapped. I think like this is not a thought out crime.
It's a crime of passion.
Like, this is legitimate.
Except there was no real passion to it. It was just kind of automatic. The way it's described as automatic is what makes it so interesting. Just like she didn't think about it. She just went thunk. And he died. I don't know if she necessarily intended to kill him either with the hit. Just being real.
I think she was just angry. And just, like, again, I think she, you know what, Sade might actually have an idea there, like, that she's not truly happy. I think she does push down all her emotions. This is a woman that, like, tries to be like, okay, how can I be happy? And I think maybe this is the point where good.
During this time, you know, it's like, here's the woman's role in life, the housewife, the doting wife. Would she know that there's anything else beyond that? So now it's like, oh, it's falling apart. What else is left?
Oh, interesting.
That's why I think she's so obsessed with, like, maybe she wasn't aware that she was unhappy. And she was like, she either was or wasn't aware that she was unhappy, that the marriage was, like, going nowhere and things were getting bad. And that's why she was so fixated on doting and being such a good housewife.
Right.
Because she had to save her marriage. There was nothing else for her. And now that it's gone, well, just kill him. Because I don't know what else to do.
Yeah. Kill the real person who ruined your marriage, especially just now, who destroyed any chance of having that be intact.
The only reason, by the way, she's doing this whole, like, getting away with murder thing is because, it is because of her child. Basically.
Yeah, she wants to protect the kid. But the child should not be here. No, sorry.
Well, I guess her child would be her only chance at a normal life. Like, if she can get away with this murder, then maybe raising her child is her last chance of happiness.
She can't be a wife, but she can be a mother.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then at the end, you got the policeman all here. Now, here's an interesting thing. Her husband's a cop. Why did Roald Dahl make her husband a cop? Is it just so it shows that she has more smarts too?
I think that come
up with this?
I don't know.
I think that might have been maybe just for convenience, because I feel if it's like, okay, I murdered my husband with this leg of lamb, the cops are all here investigating. If I'm offering this meal to the cops, it might seem weird, but if it's like, I'm offering this meal that had been meant for my husband to his friends and, like, people he worked with his whole life.
That's true.
That's less weird.
Okay, that makes sense. That actually does work.
The circumstances align themselves so well to make this murder come off. You know,
that's why I think maybe, like, subconsciously she was, like, putting this together over time, and just when she snapped, it just kind of all fell into place in her head. And anyway,
I don't think she thought I'm going to kill him with a leg of lamb, but, like, maybe there is that idea that she wanted him gone. There could have been.
Mm-hmm.
But it does, yeah, the circumstances really fall into place too well.
Well, she also, she comes up with the best plan. Like, she's like, okay, well, to make this convincing, I have to go to the grocery store, pick up potatoes and peas, and chat with the grocer to make it
so now
to
she
help
has an
cover.
alibi.
She has an alibi. And I think she convinces it to herself so well that she's like, she acts in front of the mirror for a bit to get it done. That they even described it, it wasn't really acting. She was just acting natural. Mm-hmm. It's just the way she was. No one would suspect, And
then at the end, like, she feeds the murder weapon to the police. and here's
whatever happened to that cheesecake? I wanted that cheesecake.
Anyway,
see that was her reward for herself later.
Yeah,
After.
That's right. After the story,
Like, ain't sharing this cheesecake with nobody no more.
Yeah. Well, she's eating for two, so she could probably eat that whole cheesecake.
Oh yeah, it's like, yes, my baby and I would love that cheesecake. And then because I thought about this. I mean, I remember when I first read that, I thought about this. I'm like, well, there would, unlike, because people have talked about like, oh, what's a perfect murder, and the one that's been considered the perfect murder is stabbing someone with an icicle because it would just melt.
Oh, I think
there's no fingerprints. This is
the second best murder
because she's cooking it, and her fingerprints wouldn't be on it, and then now they're eating it.
Her fingerprints would be on the frost that probably melted when she put it in the oven.
Yeah. So, although she was an idiot for giggling, like
well, they probably wouldn't have suspected a thing because like she's in the other room.
Yeah.
Where our omniscient voice is going, and in the other room, Mary Maloney began to giggle.
That's another interesting thing. They don't call her just Mary. She's always Mary Maloney.
Sometimes they call her Mrs. Patrick Maloney.
Yeah. Again,
right.
she and it's obviously her husband's last name, so she's always basically attached to her husband.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man.
This is a good story. I like this story.
Do we have any other...
I want to know if you can actually... Like, I want to know the science of this. Can you kill someone if you hit them hard enough with a frozen leg of lamb?
I'm pretty damn sure you could. Like, if it's a heavy piece of meat and it's rock hard frozen, yeah.
Yeah, you can.
I think...
My real question is, like, did she have the strength to really, really swing that hard?
Pregnant woman.
This is a pregnant woman.
Yeah, for one blow.
Well, was it one of those moments where you didn't think, you just acted? This is like the opposite of pulling the car off of your
adrenaline
child.
is going.
Yeah.
Yeah, the adrenaline just made her be like, I will literally cave your skull in with this piece of meat. Because, I feel like this is something I want to see the Mythbusters test out.
Could you
kill someone with a frozen leg of lamb?
They've done stuff like that using...
Have they done this before?
I don't know. I
need to look this up. Like, have the Mythbusters ever tested lamb to the slaughter's hypothesis?
I don't know about lamb to the slaughter, but I know they've done stuff of like, oh, is it possible doing this sort of murder thing based off a movie they saw? But they always use, what's his bucket? Billy or...
Oh, Buster.
Buster,
They use Buster. I mean, I know they did some of the things they've debunked was like the whole son of a gun myth, which is delightful, but I won't talk about it here.
So I have questions from Beth.
Questions from Beth.
Does this change your perception of the author? Now,
oh no, not at all.
As a kid, it did. Now, as a teenager, it did. Like when I read Roald Dahl's original short stories, I'm like, they're so cute and they're so typical.
A little dark at the edges, but not like, And
then when I read these, like this story, and then later on others, I was like, oh my god, he can actually write adult stuff. Like, I think it was less the, oh my gosh, what a creepy weirdo, and more, oh my god, he can actually write for adults. Because there's always that misconception, or like, there's a point in my life where it's like, oh, well, if a person writes for kids, they can usually, that's their angle, and they keep only writing for kids or adult. But no, this guy clearly can write for adults, and he knows what he's doing.
For me, it wasn't this story so much as Switch Bitch that changed my mind about Roald Dahl and made me see him in a different light. And if anything, it was more like, man, this dude is awesome. He can write kids' stories, and he can write these, like, really goofy sex farces. Like, awesome. And now he can write these really dark stories, too. Like, this is great.
How about you?
Say no, because, like, I think everyone's capable of being interested in different things, so, yeah.
Yeah, that's why it only changed my... It didn't really... It was surprising, but not... like, too surprising. But not too not surprising. I don't know.
I think the one thing, when I was younger, because I read this and I was like, wow, that's so good. And then I read The Landlady. I didn't know, like, when I first read The Landlady, I didn't know it was by him. I'm like, wow, this is really dark, because with The Landlady, that's also a very quick, short story, where the ending is, you don't know it's happened unless you understand a couple of details.
Yeah, you have to read it. It's one where a close reading kind of high. It's fridge horror. It's a fridge horror
it's
kind of story.
Absolutely a fridge. Is that in the public domain?
I think it might be. We could hit The Landlady sometime.
Like,
oh wait, are you looking at me like
Midnight Marinara?
Ooh,
like that is a really good example. Of
I might
horror.
be able to do The Landlady as a Midnight Marinara.
I will look.
It'd have to be done carefully, but you know.
Yeah, or I know you can't do Lamb to the Slaughter. Lamb to the Slaughter is too popular, but Landlady is just obscure.
It's well known, but
it's well known, but it's not.
What's Beth's next question?
Oh, yeah. What do you think about the perspective they choose to use? And by that, I mean, as I mentioned earlier, it's not exactly, it's her point of view, but it's third person. So we see what's in her mind, but we don't.
I think the perspective is important because I think since it is close to her, but it's not like omniscient third person, I think it allows for some gaps to make everything be a little bit more ambiguous, and I think that's important because it's what gets you thinking, you know? If we knew all the details, we would be like, oh, okay, here's the reason, but we don't, so we have to only speculate, and I kind of like that. I think one of the most crucial details is what exactly was the thing that's causing the husband to leave her, and while the implications are there, it could be anything, really. Like I said, could have a gay lover somewhere, and he's going to go shack up with him. I heard... Anyway.
What do you think?
I think the perspective they chose just makes the most sense because sticking with the wife, we're gonna see everything from beginning to end, and I don't think it's important that we know the reason her husband's leaving. I think the fun part there is like all the speculation, clearly, with all the theories we're coming up with.
I mean, the bulk of our discussion, this is not so much everything that happens after, but everything leading up to the murder, pretty much.
Another thing, too, is, like...
the motive.
If Mary Maloney was doing this from first person, if this was from specifically for you, saying, I think, I feel, all the questions we've been asking is, why is she this?
Right. But then you'd have to wonder, is she the unreliable narrator thing? This is better because it keeps us kind of neutral.
It does keep you at a slight distance.
Yeah.
So you're not, like, really in the mind of a killer.
Mm-hmm.
Best next question. Would it have been more or less effective from another one? Oh, okay. Do you think this is the most effective, or what if we did someone else's point?
I think this is the most effective. As like you just mentioned, with if it was from first person, I don't think it would be as strong as if we getting it from this perspective, because I think there's something about that slight distance that makes it feel almost like we're like peeking in on this, you know?
Yeah, I feel like if we were in that first perspective, we might become too sympathetic with her.
Right.
Like, we already do feel bad for her, but she's also a murderer. So I think where we are already, we're at the perfect distance.
Yeah.
It came out in 1953. If we would have done first person from the point of view of a killer, that might not have done as well either. Like, if we made her an exactly sympathetic character.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. This is also, like, a really short story, so, like, this works for the glimpse that we're getting. So I think it's fine where it is.
Yeah, I agree. By the way, there's a lot, for studying this story as a writer, there's a lot to be gleaned with how much meaning is compacted into just under 4,000 words here, you know? Like, I think this is awesome.
No, actually, I was thinking because Beth said other perspectives. Like, that would be interesting. What if it was from the perspective of, like, the police officers? Like, they were told, like, oh, their person was, like, one of their own was murdered, and you see them getting there, and it's when they're talking with the wife, and maybe it's in the way she acts. That would have been an interesting...
That feels like it would have been more like The Landlady in that case.
That would, yeah. I know it would have been more like The Landlady, but that would have been an interesting perspective. It'd be a different story.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Oh, yeah. Again, I feel like, why write The Landlady twice when you can write...
Bev's next question. Would a plan like this work in real life?
In 1950, maybe.
But now, 1950, yeah, I know, 1950, yes, because we didn't have as great of techniques back then, but now...
Hitting someone with a frozen leg of lamb and then cooking it? And you're friends with people on the force? I don't know.
I don't know. Usually it's...
Well, like today, I mean, you would hope that the police do their job and not eat.
Yeah.
Like, she wouldn't have been allowed to stay there. They would have moved her out. Someone would have noticed that the stove was on and turned it off, and they wouldn't have, like, no, you can't eat that. They're just like, no. They wouldn't have eaten it.
No.
Unless, like, they're negligent cops. So
I mean,
Also would... But then again, she hit it with... If this was... She hit him with a thing that was frozen and then put it in the oven, and then the oven got left on. Someone goes and turns it off. Would they have reason to believe that the leg of lamb was evidence? Because by then, all the evidence would have been evaporated or cooked off of.
okay, but here's one thing then why I think she didn't get away with it in the end.
Okay.
She mentioned to the grocer, I got this frozen leg of lamb. So if, like, oh, we cannot find this weapon, we gotta, like, ask the wife more questions. Let's go and ask the grocer more questions again. Maybe the grocer doesn't bring up that one detail. Maybe he does.
I still think...
Maybe he doesn't remember that detail.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
I still think she would have got away with it, even with that detail. Here's the reason why. Because, as you mentioned, they're kind of incompetent.
These cops are...
Well, no, okay, not incompetent. They trust her. There we go.
That's it.
They trust her. And this is why it's a smart detail that her husband is a cop on the force, and all of them are and the people coming are also cops, because they know her. Like, you get this in the first detail when she says, can you give me a whiskey? And she's like, you want some? And he's like, I really shouldn't, but he still drinks the whiskey. Like, that's, like, because he's comfortable around her. He knows her. They don't, that's what, like Sade said, she would not have been in the home while this was going on.
Yeah, even if she knew a lot of the people on the force.
Yeah.
The police would have moved
If
her.
anything, that would have been more reason for them to get her out of there.
Yeah.
So they do know her. They do like her. They do.
They're like, we got to get you away from this crime scene, because what if someone's still in the house, you know?
Yeah, but
It's hiding with the murder weapon.
But no, they like her. They're comfortable around her. Comfortable enough that he's like, the lead is willing to drink whiskey.
Right.
On the job.
Right. And they're, have some more, Charlie? No, better not finish it. She wants us to finish it. She said so. Be doing her a favor. Okay, then give me some more. Just... Well, all right, because it's you and I trust you. Oh my god.
Like, these guys fully trust her. They do not suspect her at all.
Unlike the guy from...
they were suspecting her, but they're like, could she? No. Like, there's someone made that comment, like, there's no way she could have. But,
Well, it's funny, because it's like the exact opposite of the Telltale Heart. They had no reason to suspect anything, and it was because of his own guilt that he confessed to the murder.
Well, here's the interesting part, because in the Alfred Hitchcock, they're actually much more suspected. Like, they're much more, like...
Suspicious?
Oh, yeah. They're like, I know sister. They're like, no, she's pregnant. Why would she couldn't have. Like, there is, they show a lot more suspicion. They still eat the lamb at the end, but yeah. Also, by the way, Alfred Hitchcock has a weird sense of humor, because at the end of the thing he says she tried to get away with it again with her husband, but her husband was forgetful and he unplugged the refrigerator, so when she hit him with it, it was like jelly.
Oh, like a second husband?
Yeah, she tried to kill him. Yeah, he made a joke at the end of the episode, like, that she tried to kill her second husband, doing the same thing, kill him with a leg of lamb.
A ram's leg.
Thank you. A leg of lamb, wow. But apparently, since it wasn't frozen, it was just like, bloop. What was that, honey?
This is how I test the consistency of the meat I cook. I hit my husband's with...
What plan would you use in her place, says Beth. This is the final turn.
In these circumstances, I don't know if I'd change the plan. This is too good. She's really counting on their trust in her.
I would not have...
She's really counting on her appearing to be just the meek housewife.
My plan would be to not get married in the first place.
There you go. Don't marry a cop.
Or if you do, make sure you're, in tight with all that cop's friends.
Yes. And also, when you marry a guy, make sure you know him well, or just anybody. If you choose to marry a person... Don't marry him because you're obsessed with them, or that you think, I need to do anything for him. if there's problems, you better figure that shit out before you marry that person.
Yeah, communication is super important, everybody. So you know what? Hey, if you establish a trust early on, you won't have someone. You won't be as shocked when. No, that's sorry. That sounds like a really shitty thing to say.
And don't leave a huge rack of. Or why do I keep saying rack of lamb?
That would be
because most people purchase a rack of lamb for their husband, not the whole damn leg. That's why I think she was like, "I'm gonna kill this fucker." Things don't work out.
Like who? Yeah, I was gonna say.
I'm gonna murder him, caveman style.
Like. Yeah, that was what
this is the Ice Age, motherfucker.
That's what baffled me. I'm like, why does she have a whole
and you're extinct
leg of lamb? Like, jeez. And it's just like she forgot about it because she's like looking. I'm like, she's like, oh, what do we have? Oh, look, I forgot I had lamb in here. I guess we're having lamb.
How long had that lamb been in there? That's probably not very good lamb. Watch all the detectives die of, like, spoiled meat poisoning.
I mean, as long as it didn't get freezer burn, I'm sure it was fine.
Yeah. Watch it go. They're all going to throw it up.
I always think of that episode of Cowboy Bebop where they find the Ganymede rock lobster in their fridge that they forgot about years ago, and it releases a poisonous organism onto the ship when they open the fridge.
Oh, God.
Because it's been in there so long. That's a good episode. Anyway.
Another advice. Check your fridge, peoples.
Yeah, clean your fridge. That's important.
All right.
Any others, or is that it?
That's it.
All right. Hey, Beth, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
We love you, Beth.
We love you so much.
Again, this podcast is brought to you by Beth.
It does a body good.
What the hell?
I don't know. I was trying to think of a slogan. There's that one-word slogan. It's like, milk, it does a body good. I don't know.
Beth, do a draw.
A Beth a day keeps the doctor away.
There you go. Beth, she's the Beth.
Don't forget your daily recommended dose of Beth.
Beth is
Alan did that one.
Yeah,
you sneaky so and so.
Alan came up with she's the Beth.
That's
Alan's.
Yeah.
Beth is listening to this right now going like, why did I do this? I am so regretting this.
Don't put words in Beth's mouth. Beth can speak for herself. Beth can come to us later and be like, what the fuck, you guys?
Shut up and finish the episode, she says.
Yeah, we should probably wrap it up. This was a nice little, clean, fun, efficient episode, much like this murder.
And thanks for your patience, everybody. I know... we've been struggling with scheduling in terms of for the electric boner because we've planned to have it do that with Alan, and we still do. It's just right now scheduling and sucks. Also, Alan was sick earlier, like about a month ago, and that was tricky. It
was more important that Alan take care of himself and feel better.
Oh, absolutely. Just to be safe, so we don't have you guys waiting, the next episode for July 13th is either The Electric Boner by...
Ennis Lewis.
Thank you, Ennis Lewis, or Nathaniel Lewis, or if scheduling permits, we will also be reading Beautiful Darkness by Marie Pompoy and Sebastian Cosette. Or their pen name together is Carascoet. Carascoet? They're French
names.
Yes, names. They're French writers and illustrators. So this is a graphic novel. So
back to graphic novels.
Which I highly recommend because the art, it's all like watercolor art. It's fucking gorgeous and it looks very like child fairy tale, like cutesy, like little characters, but like this is still like with the actual context of the story, it just is so disturbing and just like unsettling. And I read this all in one sitting at the library, like standing in the aisle. Like, guys, please read this one.
I am looking forward to this. Like you also
me too.
You also recommended the Into the Woods or
Through the Woods.
That was so good. Oh, that was amazing. I am so excited for this. This comes out June. This episode right now comes out June 13th.
Right.
So July 13th, expect either The Electric Boner or Beautiful Darkness, one or the other. We will be skipping August though, because David and I are getting married.
Yeah, it's kind of important.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Creative Horror will be putting on its annual live stream too.
Yeah, that's
Somehow, in the midst of us being married, we're also doing a live stream.
Yeah, and then also around that time too, Abysme and Paprika are getting married right before that. So we got a whole creative horror
It's
shebang.
gonna be a busy summer, you guys.
Yep.
So
And then the Disney Pasta Challenge will be wrapping up around that time, I think.
yes, that's another.
That's
thing.
right.
That comes.
That was, yeah.
We've gotten one entry so far.
Maybe we should plug that one in real quick again. Remind everybody.
We have a Disney pasta writing challenge. Write a spooky Disney park story. It could be a fictional Disney. It could be like a fictional Disney park if you want. It could be speculative, but it somehow has to be based around the Disney parks.
I know a lot of people have been struggling with this, guys. As you can make up a park if you want to and say, oh, this was something that was created by the Disney Corporation. That's
As long as it's believable.
as long as it's believable, that's fine. That is completely okay. And reminder, the deadline is July 17th at 11:59 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. The maximum word count is 2,000, and remember, there is cash prizes. First place winner will get $50, and that is American dollars.
That's
by the way.
American money.
Second place is 25, and third place is 15. You need to provide a PayPal in order to receive these prizes.
Yep.
All the rules can be found on the Midnight Marinara YouTube channel. It's under Disney Pasta Challenge. So we'll probably link it as well, too. So,
We'll link it in the show notes.
so that'll be fun. So we look forward to your to that. But yeah, that's why we won't have a Darkly Lit episode in August. But just know that either way, there will be one July 13th, and then for September 13th, it'll mostly be the other one. So if it's if it's Electric Boner, the other one will be Beautiful Darkness.
Or vice versa.
Or vice versa. That's the point I'm getting at for the most part. It took a while to get there, but...
Yep.
So, any other plugs, guys?
No. Witching Hour. Witching Hour just put out an episode. We were back to talking about Bundy again because stuff on Netflix. So that was fun. You can check that out if you're not tired about us talking about Bundy. Sorry.
No, I like hearing about it.
Sorry, not sorry.
Not sorry either.
Never apologize for your sinister plans and your love of an absolute monster of a human being.
Not even that into Bundy. You just somehow.
It's more
the one.
like anybody. It's more the holy shit. How did this all happen? What a twisted situation this all turned out to be.
Look at the story we just read.
Okay, exactly. We're human beings are interested in murder. I mean, I just pointed out to Kayla how there's an American Murder song thing I want to look at later. But that's something fun. I'll plug American Murder song. It's cool. It's blood, murder, and history, darling. That's all I'm going to say. I will also plug UCA, because I always do. Anna Musings, later this month, we'll be doing the Black Cauldron, which should be a lot of fun. That's what we're up to now, and we will have a special guest for that one.
We're actually the next lot of guests.
We're gonna have so many guests in our next runs of this podcast of Anna Musings, which is on the Bedview Network, so you can check that out. I'll also say super quick for anybody who's interested in Magic the Gathering, I'm doing an experimental podcast with my friend Nick Jewell that we call Untapped Potential. We're talking about stuff, and I don't know where it's gonna go up quite yet, but there will be a link somewhere in the show notes if you want to hear me and another guy talk about magic for entirely too long. That's all I'll say.
All right. Who's hungry for lamb? I'm buying.
Hell yeah. Just don't hit me with it. Should we blow out the candles and go to the store to get some potatoes and peas? And oh, you know what? Fuck lamb. Let's get cheesecake.
All right. Night, everyone.
Choke you guys with the cheesecake.
What the fuck?